God. Guys, please go give sXeblues some love.
Ah, a man of culture. Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this video is going to kind of be a riffing off the top of my head reaction response to a live stream that was held over on the Votesaxon07 channel recently by Stephen McCullough, the guy who owns and operates the channel and all the content thereupon. Really likable guy. Been following his content for a few years now and always enjoyed it, from his Doctor Who action figure reviews and collectible reviews, which is what led me to stumble onto his channel, as well as other stuff like his visit to New York City to visit all the filming locations of the original Ghostbusters and things of that sort. And so the topic of this live stream was something I could highly relate to, as somebody who's been doing this video making gig since 2011 in my case, and barely broken beyond 1,800 subscribers. In fact, I had only just gotten over 1,750, I think it was, and in the last couple of weeks, sort of unceremoniously, I lost upwards of 70 subscribers, probably due to one of YouTube's purges, which they sometimes do. And this came on the coattails of another channel, trying to primp up my channel, bring some attention my way. And I had gained a lot of subscribers, and suddenly they all disappeared. So, yay me! Wonderful Sisyphean YouTube, where I'm constantly having to be at the bottom of that hill and push that boulder all the way up just to have it tumble back down and do it all over again. That is very much how YouTube has felt for me for my entire tenure. And I think probably one of the biggest reasons for that may be my constantly recycling and repositioning the focus of my channel. When I first began in my humble beginnings back in 2011 with my Stone Knives and Bearskins BlackBerry mobile device, barely being able to upload upwards of 4-minute length videos, I was, doing reactions and things about entertainment news and such like that. I started getting into covering movies, and I had a whole series called Wicked Flicks, which I was just strictly talking about movies I happen to like and wanted to recommend, not necessarily reviews and whatever like that. And eventually I began to focus on anime, and that began to be something that took up the significant focus of my channel for a number of years, which is what grew what meager subscriber count I have. And since that time, I've kind of refocused away from anime, not wholly and utterly, because I still do watch a lot of anime. I still do pre-season and post-season videos discussing what I'm going to be watching, what I did watch, and what I enjoyed or what I didn't like, and whatever like that. So there is still anime coverage. But some other things that have taken up significant attention on my channel has been Doctor Who, Star Trek, the Orville recently. I talked about the DC Universe Titans series, which I had a lot of problems with. And so that's more of what I'm focused on nowadays, whereas for a number of years, I was strictly talking about anime every week. Sometimes Doctor Who content would come up, while the seasons were airing, and I had started actually doing video coverage from Series 6 onward, and I've covered all the series since then. Talked about the short-lived spin-off Class, and have talked about some of the audios and stuff like that. So obviously, I have a passion for Doctor Who and geeky properties, Ghostbusters, Star Trek, DC Comics, Marvel Cinematic Universe, all that kind of stuff. I talk about all of it. And I have noticed in my tenure, shifting focus as I have done, I never seem to be able to build a solid, constant following. There is a small handful of people who are tried and true, who have been around for a while and who still watch my content, still interact with me on my personal Facebook account and such like that, as well as in the comments here on YouTube. But I feel like this highly relates to the issues that Stephen, in his video, Votesaxon07's live stream video, was talking about, where he really, and this isn't the first time he's ever brought this up. I have seen him mention this a couple of times in the past, this issue that he has with this reluctance to cover things that aren't Doctor Who related, or Robot Wars, which is another big thing that he and his mate, spend a lot of time on because they're very passionate about it, and such like that. While it's not my bag personally, I don't really watch his Robot Wars content. I know he has a strong following for that, much as he does for the Doctor Who content he produces. But that inherently brings up the problem of if he wants to continue to be successful on YouTube, and he's been, to my estimation, with a humble barely 1,700 subscribers now, thanks to YouTube's latest purge. He has like 24K or something like that subscribers. If he wants to continue to have that kind of success, he notices that whenever he deviates from Doctor Who or Robot Wars, the attention span, the view counts and things like that diminish. And he doesn't feel like he's able to really get anywhere with things that he actually wants to talk about, that he actually is passionate about. What brought this about recently was his, knowing reluctance in the face of all of this to do a review of a Captain Marvel, Marvel Legends figure, for the film that's up and coming very soon, very shortly. And I really felt like this guy gets what I've been saying every time I've done a rant video. I think I've done a couple of rant videos along this line on my main channel, but I've definitely done more than a few on my secondary channel, Johnny sXeblues, which it's always been sort of more focused on outtakes from my regular videos, but I also do more personal vloggy type things on my secondary channel. And so from time to time, I've gotten to the point where I felt like, what is the point of doing this? Why am I bothering? And there was something he said in his live stream that really struck out to me, struck a chord with me, because I've been there so many times where it's just like, okay, well, I'm covering anime, but I want to talk about Star Trek, but I doubt people are going to really be tuned into that. Or I want to talk about Doctor Who. It's been so long since I talked about Doctor Who. I've been covering anime. It's going to probably throw a wrench in the works. People who are only here for anime coverage and discussion are going to tune out, unsubscribe, and I found this happens time and time again. The thing is, Stephen has, per his own words, he's really been struggling with this want to be able to focus on the things he's passionate about, whether it be movie reviews or sort of action figure collectible reviews that don't revolve around solely Doctor Who, what he built his channel upon, really. And being, sort of confronted with the reaction from the mass audience that they're not going to tune into it. They're not really going to be concerned with it. The first comment is always first. The second comment is always, when's your next Doctor Who related video, and things like that. I can understand wholly and assuredly how frustrating that is. While I think I've only gotten 2 first comments in my entire tenure on YouTube. I've never been big enough to get more than that. It all depends on how you quantify that as well. I've never monetized my channel. I don't make any money, any scratch off of this apart from the PayPal support URL, which I only just recently made in like the last 6 months, after having been asked about, will I ever open a Patreon? Will I ever open an avenue for people to throw support my way? I was asked that time and time again over the years, and it was something I was always reluctant about because I just felt like this is a passion. It's strictly a passion. It's not meant to be a career. It's not meant to be, I don't want to be the next big YouTuber or anything like that. I'm just me, humble little me in my own corner, just talking about stuff I dig and hoping to send that out there to commune with like-minded people, like-interest people. And, so I can't necessarily speak to whether or not his personal outlook on it is trying to make money off of it, trying to have it be a career alternative or something that makes and brings extra money in. I know he does have a Patreon and things like that. But I feel like his main sort of, stumbling block or hurdle that he's really having a time with right now is he very much wants to branch out and cover other things, but he feels like, what is the purpose? Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to interact with it. And I know it's something that he's probably thought long and hard about. And that's the thing, as a YouTube creator, people don't necessarily understand. All of the time you don't see. You only see what ends up on camera in the video that's edited together. You don't see all of the hours, the painstaking hours and things like that. I could do take one of my recent Star Trek Discovery videos that might be 15 minutes in length. What you may not know is the original recording of that video with stutters and having to re-say things and just coughing or whatever like that was probably 30 minutes in length, had to be edited and whittled down. And that editing process, even for somebody who is just humbly recording on a mobile device, on a smartphone, it can take anywhere from the length of whatever the video is, say 30 minutes, to whittle it down and edit it and actually get it into a respectable from beginning to end discussion, to upwards of 3 and 4 hours, depending on how frustrating it is and how much time I need to spend on it. And there are nights, because the Orville and Star Trek Discovery both come out on the same night, I have to do one after the other. And lately, it started out the Orville I was, talking about first, and then I got on to Discovery. But lately, I've been getting to Discovery first and then the Orville. And this last week was the first time since both second seasons of both shows began that I had both videos up by 1 a.m. Whereas every week prior to that, it was I'll have one up by 1 or 2 a.m. and the other one goes up by 5 or 6 a.m. because that's how much time it has taken to record it, to watch it back and edit it while I'm watching it back, to have it saved as is and make sure it's as good as I want it to be, to then upload it and then watch it back again to make sure it didn't get screwed up in the upload process. So there is a lot of work that goes into it. And his channel, speaking to his success, is a lot more spit and polished than mine is. He definitely has more access to higher tech capability with cameras, digital cameras, and editing software, I'm sure, laptop, computer, whatever it is. When it comes to figure reviews and things like that, the ones that I still go back to, the review spot, in his case, Votesaxon, Stephen McCullough, the Fwoosh, it's usually because of the personality of the reviewer. And you have the review spot who does these long discussion videos, which because of his personality and his joking around, it feels like just having a down-home conversation with a buddy about a product. With channels like the Fwoosh or like Steven's Votesaxon, there are more shorter, succinct reviews, but they're no less entertaining in how they're edited together and some of the jabs and jibes that get put into it and such like that. In all three cases, these are three very charismatic people who are talking about these things that they have an interest in, whether love it or hate it. Each one being fair and balanced in their own way, each one being entertaining in their own way. And for me, you put so much work and effort into something, and if it's not going to yield the sort of attention you hope that it will, you get to feeling frustrated. You feel like, what in the hell am I doing? Why am I bothering? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Why am I not able to achieve success with one thing that, on the other hand, I'm able to achieve with something else and whatever like that. And I obviously, I don't have an answer. I don't have, if I did, I'd be much more successful on YouTube. I don't have an answer for that. It's still something I deal with every single video I put up. I have found some moderate success with my Orville and Star Trek Discovery coverage as of late. But they're not here for me. I must not have the charisma or the likability. There's only a small handful of people who still talk to me, as I've said before in this video, that have been with me for a while and I still interact with. But even then, sometimes it's a while between when we can hook up again and talk back and forth, converse back and forth. So whatever success I have, it's not long-term success. It's not something that's going to be constantly recycling in, and it's not going to be, if I decide to suddenly talk about Forbidden Planet, the old 50s sci-fi film that was what inspired Gene Roddenberry to bring about Star Trek, only a very few people are going to bother watching that. If I talk about Midnight Run, one of my all-time favorite sort of almost buddy cop-esque movie, but not quite, because it's not about two cops, Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin, and things like that. It's got to be one of my all-time favorite movies, comedy, action, sort of road trip movie. If I talk about that, I'm going to be lucky if I get 3 views. Most of the views that are going to interact with it are going to be people who recognize it. It's not going to be because it's something I'm recommending or they want to hear my thoughts on it. Very rarely will that be the case. And whereas, again, talking about the review spot, talking about the Fwoosh, talking about Stephen McCullough and Votesaxon07, the people who are coming back to his channel are there for him, are there for his personality. I'm sure there are a number of people who are only coming to see, whatever action figure collectible he happens to be talking about. Some people are only there for that. But when you have that many subscribers, from my humble estimation, that is success. Even if you see that dip because you happen to talk about something else that you're passionate about, you know, I feel like you shouldn't play toward what the crowd wants. That shouldn't be what it is ever about, because it should always be what you find the most satisfaction in. And granted, it becomes a double-edged sword. It's, you know, YouTube being the cruel mistress that it can sometimes be. When you are passionate about something and you do talk about it, you do put work and effort into it, and then it kind of falls flat. It doesn't garner the reaction and the conversation you hope it will. In the case of Captain Marvel and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and things like that, I feel like these are things that should inherently bring in attention. Even for a channel that is most known and sort of associated with, by extension, Doctor Who stuff, as well as Robot Wars, you know, I feel like that's like the next big thing he could talk about, and definitely if it's something he wants to talk about. That's the bottom line of this video. The only advice I can give, without giving any solid answers as to how to, you know, no cure-all, no fix-it, end-all be-all entirely. My only advice is, I feel like you should do what you want to do. It shouldn't matter what the viewership levels are, what the interaction levels are, what the success, the perceived success of the subscriber count or the view counts or the thumbs ups and thumbs downs, what all of that yields. It should be about doing what is fulfilling for you. And you know, if it's something that you're going to spend a lot of time mulling over and it's going to make you feel the worse for wear, it's probably not worth it. It's only going to be worth it if you feel like when you're done with it, you know, it's a job well done, and you're satisfied with what you achieved, what you accomplished. Whether or not it's successful, whether or not it brings in the bucks, whether or not it brings in hordes of attention, whether or not you still get first comments and when's your next Doctor Who video comments on that video, every interaction is some interaction. And, you know, you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, because everything that is on YouTube, what YouTube now is these days, is this frustration. I mean, the bell icon, click the bell icon if you want to be updated about all of my uploads. What the hell is that? It used to be, I remember a time on YouTube where it used to be, by simply subscribing to a channel, you saw everything it did. You saw everything that was uploaded on it. You saw every community post, everything like that. Now, because of these algorithms, you have, you know, massive channel purgings, and you know, the video content that they're showing you in your subscription feed is give or take, and you know, you're not always seeing every video from every channel and whatever like that. It doesn't make sense to me. It's ass backwards at best. And in that climate, the best I think you can do is just to follow your heart, follow your passions, follow whatever you can do, whatever you can see through to completion and still feel prideful about, even if it isn't successful. That's I think the best really any of us have, any of us can try to achieve on YouTube, especially for someone like me, as I say, who doesn't make any money off of this, who has had barely any success really growing a following or anything like that, and a very meager you know, what is there, what does exist there, and I just, you know, I must still find some fulfillment out of this to still be here 9 years on, you know, but I don't know. I mean, as I say, I don't really have an answer as to how to combat this frustration that Steven's talking about, but it's one I could highly relate to, because it's like every other video I put up, I just feel like when I see, oh, this didn't get as much viewership as the last one, there's a part of me that's like, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering with this? I should go back to my writing. I should just stop YouTube and go back to my writing. But there's got to be something that I still get out of this to still be doing it. And I think maybe it's better in the long term that I never monetized, that I never made it about view counts or subscriber counts, or, you know, how much money I'm making off YouTube, Google, or whatever. Not to say that that's what, you know, Steven is doing at all whatsoever, but just wanted to add my 2 cents. So in any case, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.